why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting my shot? Why are they doing this to me? What, like, do they hate me? Do they do this? Do they do that? And I just had it like, bro, like that's life.
What up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He is the UFC's number 4 ranked welterweight contender, fighting Gilbert Burns in the co-main event of UFC 288 on Saturday, May 6th. They say remember the name, but after 9 undefeated fights, how could you forget Belal Muhammad? How's it going, my man?
What's up, my brother? Appreciate that.
What's up? Of course, hey, gotta the the intros are the only thing that like reinvigorate my energy aside from the coffee. So if I don't do it, we're just gonna have an awful interview. So, keeps me alive. But I mean, speaking of energy, timing of this fight quite unusual. 2 weeks out, very close to Ramadan. What post Ramadan meals were you like super excited about that you completely had to sort of throw by the wayside in anticipation of this fight?
Man, it was the worst because it was like, the celebration was like 5 days after, and my family went to Cleveland to visit other family, and there was a huge party down there. So my mom's super mad at me that I didn't go and I had to turn her down, but I told her it's gonna be worth it. We're gonna celebrate afterward.
Oh, you're gonna, I mean, nothing beats home cooked. But if you need to order in some food, there's a big check coming your way. I hope.
Yeah, for sure. Like I told her, I'm like, I'll make it up to you. It's all good. You guys still gonna eat your gifts, but you know how moms are. They just think, oh, one day won't hurt. I'm like, I got 2 weeks. Every single day matters
Oh,
right now.
yeah. In this business, one day can make all the difference, and we're gonna get to it a little bit later. You know, this fight comes under very unusual circumstances. Originally, it was supposed to be Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. That gets pushed to 289, my backyard of Vancouver. And this comes together in about 2 weeks' notice. You were wrapping up Ramadan fasting. Gilbert Burns was just coming off the Jorge Masvidal fight. I know there was a lot of back and forth in negotiations. You're the one who pitched 5 rounds. He's the one who kind of pushed for it to be at welterweight. Can you talk me through your feelings, your thought process, maybe some of the conflicts that you had to sort of deal with internally about accepting the fight under these particular circumstances?
There's always that moment where you're like, is it really worth it? What am I gaining from it? I don't need a fight. I'm on an 8 fight winning streak. I don't need to take a 2 week notice fight to fight a guy that's never 5 in a row, who just has a camp, who just, he has everything to gain from it. I'm ranked higher than him. He had a camp, didn't get injured in his fight. It was an easy fight for him. So it's like, people could say, oh man, Gilbert Burns is the man. But I'm like, bro, he just beat Magny easily in 1 round, and then he beat Masvidal pretty easily. So like, that's every fighter's dream, to have a 2 fights off of one camp. That's the money shot right there. So it's the best. So for me, it was like, what am I really gaining from it? And it's not even a monetary value for me. It's about the gold. So is this going to be the one that's going to give me the gold next? Is this going to be the one that gets me my title shot? And that's all they needed to tell me, to where I'm like, all right, well, if my next fight will be for the title, then I'm 100% in. So that's all I needed to hear. And I looked at this fight like it was a title fight now. Now I know that, like, if they offered me Leon in 3 weeks notice, there's no way I would say no. I would say yes, 100%. Let's go. So I knew I had to make that same move with this fight right here, because beating Gilbert's going to give me the next title fight.
Totally. And, we'll see how things play out with Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington. Maybe you fight the winner of that. Hey, maybe you get Leon in Abu Dhabi. There's nothing but good possibilities coming your way. I know you mentioned recently, I saw an ESPN story, a lot of weight to cut on short notice. This is Thursday, the 27th that we're filming it. Can you give me any update on where we're at weight-wise?
Yeah, we're like at 48 pounds over. Now I'm just messing around. Like, I was sitting there, I was saying it and I was joking. And we finished like the interview. My my boy Ian Larios, shout out to Ian Larios, nutritionist of the best. He's like, man, I think he thinks it was serious. I was like, nah, I was saying it with a smile on my face. He's like, I don't think that gets your sense of humor. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe not. And then I saw like the article and I was like, oh crap. And the only thing I was like worried about was like commission was gonna like look at it and be like, wait, what the heck's going on?
Mm.
So I was like, dude, I was just kidding. Like, it was a joke. Like, watch the interview instead of like read the article, because you'll see like a facial expression. I was like, yeah, I'm like 41 pounds, but I had potatoes in the morning, so that adds a lot of weight on.
Okay, so we're doing okay. Nothing we can't overcome
Yeah, for sure.
by fight night. Okay, happy to hear it. Tell me, this fight comes together in about 2 weeks' notice, and it's not just your typical short notice fight. It's 5 rounds, something you requested at after talking to Habib. What does a condensed 5-round training camp like this look like compared to a more traditional camp?
Man, I think that I'm working with like the best guys in the world, the best team in the world, and the way we strategize and the way we figure out stuff, I don't think anybody does it as good as us. So a lot of our stuff is focusing on what Gilbert's going to bring to the table, and then what we're going to do to the table, then also seeing where our conditioning's at. So there's not a lot of wasted time. So you could go into any type of situation, but oh man, I didn't jog enough, or I didn't swim enough laps, or I didn't lift enough weights. But at the end of the day, it's fighting, and I need to know that I had enough conditioning to fight. And I know that for me, being able to fight 3 rounds, 5 rounds, it is conditioning, but it's also heart. It's also will. And I think mentally, coming from Ramadan, my mental game is the strongest it's ever been. My will is the strongest it's ever been. It'll ever be. So when you get into that nitty gritty of the fight, and you're tired, you're aching, your body, you're sore, you're this, you're that. That's where all that extra stuff comes into play in the factor. And I think that coming off of Ramadan, it's going to be a positive for me. It's going to make me stronger. It's going to make me that much better in the cage because I did stuff that he's not doing. I'm willing to do stuff that he's not willing to do. I was throwing out catch weights to see if how bad he wanted this fight. And he wasn't willing to do it. So tell me he didn't want it that bad. He didn't want it like that, like I wanted it. So I was like, all right, let's go.
Well, always playing mind games even before the fights, even before the fights are booked. When we think about the welterweight division, there's a lot of obviously everyone's well rounded, but when you think Kamaru, your first thought's wrestling. When you go Colby, it's either the wrestling or the cardio. What is Belal Muhammad's elite skill that he has over everyone else in the top 5?
IQ. I think that I'm smarter than all these guys. I think that I'm a guy that you've seen me fight a million different styles, and I make the best in-fight adjustments, and I make the best in-fight moves. And I think a lot of these guys aren't capable of doing that. These guys will go in there with a game plan, and if that game plan's not working, they break, or they'll just keep going until somehow it comes to fruition. And for me, it's like, all right, well, we'll see what this guy's going to do, and I know I'll have this other idea if that doesn't work. I know I'll have this other idea if that doesn't work. And I don't think a lot of these guys are willing to do what I'm willing to do.
Speaking of adjustments, I was sort of taking a look at your early career stats versus some of the later stats in the UFC. And what I noticed is generally you're absorbing less strikes on average than you used to, particularly sort of after that early Vicente Luque fight. Was there a eureka moment or one significant adjustment that comes to mind that helped you become a more defensively sound fighter? Because you're coming out of these fights looking pretty clean.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it's just the training I've been doing. When I first got into the UFC, I was training with a lot of amateur fighters, and it was just what got us there. We were 9-0, so I was like, you never felt that level of competition yet. So then once I got to that level, and I was like, oh crap, there are guys that are this tough. There are guys that are working as hard as you. It's like, all right, well, now I need to do something else. Now I need to be smarter with the way I train instead of just, bro, we used to just go into the gym and use our toughness. We'll spar 15-minute rounds, and we're like, all right, man, I got a headache or something like that. And it was just show how tough you are. Now it's about skills. Now we're doing the little stuff that a lot of these guys aren't doing, the little drills, the little footwork, the little hand movements, gestures, shadow boxing that, it's tedious work, but it's the work that makes you that much better on fight night.
As we begin to wrap up here, if you look between the memes on your Instagram, there's some pretty interesting, inspirational quotes that you throw the people's way from time to time. And, I think you and Beneil Dariush can probably sort of begrudgingly relate on the win streaks you've put together and how up until this point, the title shot hasn't materialized. Now it's just that close, right? For both of you guys, it seems like you're in title eliminators now. I want to read you a quote that you posted. And what you wrote was, what you get isn't based on the things you deserve. It's based on the things you do. What sort of comfort or clarity has that quote given you over these last few fights, where it just seems like there's always one more obstacle being put in the way?
Yeah, it was me, having to tell myself, man, why am I not getting this? Why am I not getting my shot? Why are they doing this to me? What, like, do they hate me? Do they do this? Do they do that? And I just had to like, bro, like that's life. Like they're not, nobody's gonna hand you anything. And I knew that from right when I got to the UFC that anything I wanted, I was gonna have to claw my way to grab it, to get it. And knowing even with this fight right here, it's still me clawing and grabbing to get it. And after winning this fight, after winning to getting the title that I know I'm gonna get, it's just gonna make that much all this extra stuff, all these extra hurdles that I had to go over, it's gonna make it that much sweeter, that much better to have that gold wrapped around my waist.
I love it. Bilal, you've been so gracious through your time. As we wrap up here, I just want to run you through a little rapid fire, okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the welterweight themed one. Who is the most overhyped welterweight in the UFC?
Overhyped welterweight, Colby Covington.
Why was I not surprised to hear that? Who is the greatest welterweight of all time not named George St. Pierre?
I would put I'll give it to Usman.
Okay, I like that. I think that's a solid answer. Who is the welterweight that is almost too nice to punch in the face? I mean, you'll get your business done, but you'd rather avoid it if possible.
For sure it's Wonder Boy. It's like that was like the hardest fight because he's like the nicest guy in the world. And I was like, bro, I do not want to fight this guy.
Dude, what is it? Yeah, I mean, just there's a handful of you got. Like Vicente Luque is a very nice guy too. At least
And that's what I
in my
said, bro. Like I was
encounters
like,
with
I had to
him.
fight Damian Maya, Vicente Luque,
Mhm.
and Wonder Boy all back to back to back. And I was like, bro, give me somebody that I can dislike.
Yeah, well, you know what? We might be heading in the right direction, so I'm happy to hear that for you. Who is the best smack talker at welterweight?
The best smack talker. None of them are really that good. Like
You can pick
that's the thing
yourself if
about
you
it. It's
want.
like there's not, Mike Perry was actually good when he was a welterweight.
Shout out to Mike Perry, BKFC superstar Mike Perry.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, shout out to him. He's doing some good work over there. He's carving out like a very interesting path for himself.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big fight coming up, and like you said, he's a cool dude. Like once you get past all that bravado and that what you call it, he's like still a dude.
Yeah, I mean, the type I'm always a little uneasy around just because like you don't know what's coming next, but I believe it
Yeah.
if you get on the right side, if you get him on the right side of the pillow that morning. Okay, last one on this. Which middleweight or lightweight fighter do you think could make a serious run at 170 pounds?
No, Islam Makhachev. Yeah,
Nice.
going with him,
Nice.
training with him. Like, bro, how is this guy a lightweight? He's a monster.
That's great. Do you see him making that transition one day?
Yeah, 100%. Like I could see it. I think that a couple more wins at 155, and he'll just be moving up just because you know he's looking for those big fights. I feel like now after beating Volkanovski, beating the pound for pound champ, he goes out there now and he beats a guy like Benil Dariush. He already beat Oliveira. It's like he's beating these guys that have been so dominant for so long. It's like there's really nothing else left for him to do there. I know there's a lot of names that he hasn't fought yet, but I think you beat a Benil, you beat a Gaethje, you beat a Poirier, you move up.
Okay, just to wrap this up the same way we started, but I would like from you in closing, Bilal, is your favorite joint to get some food in Chicago, and what is the best home cooked meal that you're craving right now?
Favorite spot, I love Palermo's Pizza in Chicago. It's thin crust too. It's not the deep dish stuff. The
The
Palermo's
tavern
best spot.
style, like the yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. And then anything my mom makes is my favorite home cooked meal.
Oh, I keep telling my grandma I got to sit down and like learn some recipe, before it's too late, learn some recipes, and
Yeah.
I keep delaying it. So I got to get on that. Bilal Muhammad, man, it's been such a treat to talk to you as always. I want to leave you with the last word, so I'll do my part very quickly. Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you're still here, please subscribe, tap the notification bell, thumbs up. Give us your official prediction for Belal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. That is the co-main event, 5 rounds at welterweight, UFC 288 on Saturday, May 6th. Belal, if there's anything you want to let the people know, the floor is yours, my man.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate all the fans that support me or pulling for me, man. May 6th. You guys are gonna see how great I am.